My name is Duncan. I had the privilege and honor to work for the Walt Disney Company for 30 years. I started as a coffee boy in the London office. I used to go and get my boss 6 cappuccinos a day from the local deli, and that's what I did. And that's where I started. There were 6 people worked for Disney in London in 1986. Now there's 2,500. So my job for the first 20 years was coming up with mad ideas and getting them done. So, for example, when we launched Toy Story Mania, we needed to create a publicity stunt. And if you remember the film Toy Story, Buzz's dream was to fly, because Buzz couldn't fly, he was a toy, which was very sad when he realized. And so I said, what if we could make Buzz's dream come true? What if Buzz Lightyear could fly? And it was like, okay, well, how are you going to make that happen? I said, I'm going to send him to space on a space shuttle. Now, I hadn't talked to NASA at this moment in time, so I went to meet with NASA, and half of them, I said, hey, I've got this great idea. You guys should take Buzz Lightyear into space. It's going to be great. And half of the room loved the idea, but nobody was going to say, I love the idea. Half the room wanted to take me and throw me out through the window without opening the window first. But NASA agreed to take Buzz to space. Well, 6 months before launch, we got a call from Johnson Space Center, and they said, we need Buzz Lightyear here tomorrow by 3 o'clock. But the launch is 6 months away. Why do you need Buzz here now? They said, well, we need 2 identical Buzz Lightyears here because we're going to take one Buzz Lightyear apart molecule by molecule, so that if there's an air pocket inside Buzz Lightyear that would explode in the vacuum of space, it could kill one of our astronauts. So my son's Buzz Lightyear went up on the International Space Station day and date with the opening of Toy Story Mania. He lived 18 months in space, and then I convinced NASA to bring him home, and he's now in the Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C. So for 20 years, that's what I was doing for a living. And so 10 years ago, I got a call from the chairman, and he said, look, you're the guy with all the big ideas. You're going to be in charge of innovation and creativity. We're all born creative. You were all born with amazing imagination. I know that because I bought my nephew a bicycle when he was 5. It was the Lightning McQueen bike from the Cars movie. Actually, it wasn't. It was a red bike. I just pretended it was the Lightning McQueen bike because I was the cheap uncle from Scotland. And it came in a big box, and it was gift wrapped with a ribbon on the top. And he spent like ages trying to tear the paper. You know how small kids are now, trying to get the bike out of the box. What did he spend the rest of the day playing with? Why? Why the box? Because it could be anything he wanted it to be, right? The castle, the fort, the rocket ship, the kitchen. When was the last time you saw the rocket ship? Usually about the age of 6. Children are very curious, no? What question do they ask you? What question do children ask? Why? And what do they ask after that? Why? And the one after that? Why? Yeah. That's how they learn. We stop at the first why, because education and corporate life has taught us there's only one right answer. So we stop looking for the second one. And so if you interview a consumer about why do you come to Disney Parks? If you take their first answer is, oh, I love going on the rides. Oh, well, then that tells me to build more rides. And spend hundreds of millions of dollars on new attractions, they will come. But if I ask them a second time, well, why do you go on the rides? Oh, well, I love Small World. Well, why do you love Small World? Ah, well, I used to go with my mum. Well, why is that important? Well, now I go with my daughter, and I love passing the memories on. And so you're like, well, hang on a minute. You're not buying the attractions. You're buying memories. We've lost our creativity. Once you go to school and you get a job, I don't know what jobs you work in, but I guarantee you, somebody at some point between the age of 6 and now, on more than one occasion, has pointed at you and said, you're in finance, you're in HR, you're in IT, you're in hospitality, you're in operations, you're in engineering, you're in lawyer. You're not creative. Creatives, they sit over here. They're the creatives. You're not creative. And at some point in our lives, we're stupid enough to believe it. But we were all born children. We all saw the rocket ship. We all had an amazing imagination. We were all very curious. But this gets knocked out of us as we build up into corporate life. If you think about where artificial intelligence is going, and they say it'll take away 30 million jobs in the United States of America in the next 10 years. That's 10% of the population. How will you compete with somebody who thinks 5,000 times faster than you do? Creativity, imagination, intuition, and emotional intelligence, and curiosity. Robots will not replicate that in the next 5 or 10 years.